Good evening, everyone, and good evening, Makobura. Habari ya jioni.
I don't know whether to speak in Kiswahili or to speak in English kwa sababu nikianza na Kiswahili
Eh,
utasema utashangaa, nitawashangaza na Kiswahili.
Hapana, si unajua nchi yetu ya Kenya ni nchi ambayo iko huru, na vile unajua kwamba tumekubaliwa ama sisi tunaweza zungumza lugha ya Kiswahili ama Kiingereza. So we ni gani utaona kama inakufaa?
Mimi ni Mkenya na naweza zungumza aidha Kiswahili ama Kizungu ama yeyote, niko na zingine bado. Yeah, so above all, I'm doing good, I thank God. Siku yangu imekuwa vyema, nashukuru.
Yeah.
Sioni mabaya.
Okay.
Labda za kwako?
Mi niko salama, ni ile tu hali ya kufuatilia yale ambao yanaendelea katika nchi jirani Tanzania, ambapo leo hii Madam Suluhu Hassan alitangazwa kama mshindi wa uchaguzi ambao ilitokea tarehe 29 mwezi huu, na ameshinda kwa asilimia kubwa sana. Let me say that that one is there. We are also looking at the Marakwet. You know what happened in Marakwet, landslide in Marakwet that the government is trying to rescue people. That's also there. We also had today the president, Uhuru Kenyatta, declared his health status, and so many people are surprised, but you remember last year something like that came out, but sometimes in terms of professionalism, you cannot just come on air and start to discuss somebody's health and what does this one mean, especially for everybody, and even to the Kenya at large. So that is something that also we are going to do. We are also seeing quite much divided opinions, especially in ODM. You find that there's a group that are speaking. They're not kind of like speaking with one voice. I remember yesterday they were in Kabondo Kasipu, especially which was headed by the Deputy President, Honorable Kithure Kindiki. They were doing the empowerment for women, and we saw the Kimani Chungwa came and ile hali ya kuinua mtu mkono, which was especially like a UDA anainua mkono wa mtu wa ODM. That is something that also taking the center stage, people are communicating about it. So but like what we want to look at, and there's something also, Makobura, maybe I saw Jalango today went to the Kangoka Jaramogi, and he went with the cows together with the spear and the shield, but one thing that he did not do, because that is like a Luo culture, but he was wearing Nigerian attire. So if you want to promote culture, let's promote culture. So I don't know, that I saw that was kind of like a disconnect. You have to let it all be culture, but it was something that he did. We need to talk about that. So we have many things that we can talk about today. So maybe to begin with, in our neighboring country, that is Tanzania, Madam Suluhu Hassan was declared the winner in disputed. This election was so much disputed. He won with a larger margin. I wrote it somewhere, with almost 98%, and the voter turnout was 85%, with 32 million, if to say, Tanzania voting for her, which is quite questionable, and we would say that is electoral injustice. And I will bring you back when Magufuli was competing against Tundu Lissu, amount that he got, and when Magufuli also was competing against the late Lowassa, you would see. And another thing also that is going to test the democracy of parliament, especially in Tanzania. You find that they won almost like out of 272 seats electoral at members parliamentary. They won 270, and there's only 2 seats that were won by ACT Mzalendo. So it tells you how is it going to happen, especially when you're looking at the checks and balances. How are they going to happen? And those are some of the things that we want to look. Maybe before we go into the main discussion, maybe when you look at the margin by which Samia Suluhu won the election, what would you say?
Okay. Thank you so much. You know, my understanding of the African election, uh, I'm meant to understand that the election was done on Wednesday, and today is Saturday. The winner was pronounced, and that then takes me back to what the kind of elections that we've been having in Kenya. I am quite sure that the level of technology in Kenya is far much ahead than what we have in Tanzania.
Mhm.
And remember, last year, almost 18 million were eligible to vote in Kenya. And counting that 18 million, of which around 12 million turned out to vote, counting that 12 million took days. I'm just surprised how Tanzania Electoral Commission were able to count 32 million or 31 million in 2 days, because I'm quite sure in matters of internet and all those kind of things with the
Mhm.
nationwide crack, I mean, with quite a lot happening, to
Mhm.
me it is impossible, because that number is huge and the
Yeah.
timeline was not enough for all those. So in my take, I wouldn't say much, but I can simply say that that was a sham, or I can say that there wasn't really truth in that particular election, based on the fact that it was an election that was being carried out at a point when the opposition leaders were all, some of them were in jail, some of them were not given the opportunity, and even the opportunity to campaign and interact with their followers or citizens was, they were not given. And then
Yeah.
that brings the question:
Mm.
was there free and fair elections, or was there an equal environment for those who were running for presidency, or not just presidency,
Yeah.
members of parliament and all those? And the answer is automatically no. The
Mhm.
fact of the matter is, we saw the people of Tanzania on the street on the said day that the elections were being carried out.
Yeah.
And you cannot substantiate, or I mean, you cannot say that there was a turnout of almost 90% of the total population, because the
Yeah.
question then would be,
Mhm.
we saw what we call chaos in almost all the major towns within the Tanzania. Who then went to vote on that particular day? Because there was a progression of that demonstration on the following day, that was on Thursday,
Yeah.
and it proceeded to Friday. The
Yeah.
question then that we are asking is, who then went out and voted? And to me, I can categorically say that, to the extent in which we've reached as the people of Africa, or the people of Eastern Africa,
Mm.
and with the level of knowledge that we have as the people of Africa,
Yeah.
there was no truth in that particular election, and everything, to me,
Yeah.
my take is, everything has been cooked,
Mhm.
everything has been choreographed, just to show that the election was carried out. Because even if you look at the members of parliament, out of the two, is it 270,
True.
272,
Yeah.
uh, you cannot, where on earth in a democratic environment would you get that one party that, you know majority, one party that, you know, quite a number of citizens of Tanzania were on the street, voicing their frustration. You'd tell us that that one party would still get 270 seats.
Mhm.
And what kind of environment, political environment, are we going to have in Tanzania if they're allowed to proceed?
Yeah.
If they are allowed, of course, to proceed, we are going to see a massive kind of dictatorship, and we are going to see consistent demonstration or consistent uproar among the people, because you cannot justify that in an election where, in an environment where there is multi-party, where
Yeah.
there is democracy, you'll only get one old political party getting 98% of the
Yeah.
parliamentary seat. This
Mm.
is something that cannot be justified. And my urge to the people of to the people of Tanzania is that if they don't really look into this keenly, if they don't really solve the problems that they are facing currently,
Mm.
and again to the president, if he continues with the results of what has been brought forth by the Electoral Commission, then
Mhm.
I can tell you it is not going to be business as usual in Tanzania. There's going to be consistent chaos. Chaos, of course, that would be brought forth by the people who feel that they were not given the opportunity, people who feel that the environment or the election was not free and fair.
Yeah.
And remember, it is a population that majority of it is, comprises of youth. And you
Okay.
understand, whenever youth are in a country where things are not working out,
Mm.
where there are no opportunities, they will always come out whenever they feel that wamefinywa. So it is going to be, I'm seeing a situation where there's going to be consistency in demonstration, consistency in citizens coming out to agitate or to call or to fight for their rights. That is what I'm seeing in Tanzania.
Okay, thank you so much, Makobura, for your view. Because, like, as I said earlier, this election, especially that happened in Tanzania, where Tanzania's President Hassan wins, disputed election amid deadly protest. We've seen protest during this time of election, and this is some. I wrote some of the figures here. Tanzania Independent Electoral Commission said that Hassan won with 31.9 million votes, or 97.6. If you round up that number, it will be 98%. In the Wednesday election, while the second place challenger Mwalimu Salum Juma of Chuma party tallied almost like 213, 200,000, almost like 200,000, and this, as I said earlier, this was perceived like unfairness of the election, and this one sparked massive protest, and based on that, and there's so many reports that are coming that there are quite a number of people, number of deaths that are reported. We cannot verify or say that are approximately how much, but like the deaths that were reported. But if you look at the election of Tanzania, we are not looking at the voting, Mr. Makubura, but we are looking at where did this one start. And if just to bring you to speed, especially we are looking at the previous elections. Now we'll take two previous elections that happened, especially, and this can be pointers and can make us kind of like question one, the rate at which they registered the voters and how the turnout was so high. I will bring you to the first, especially the first time when Magufuli, the late Magufuli, was running against um, Tundulisu by then, and that environment was created for the opposition leaders to contest. And when they went, these were the results. There was Pombe Magufuli versus Tundulisu, whereby the running mate or the deputy president was Samia Suluhu, and the one for Tindulisu was Salim Mwalimu. The popular vote then was 12,516,252 votes. And the popular vote for Tindulisu was 1,933,271. And the percentage was 84% against 13. That's when Magufuli was competing against Tindulisu. And this one, the position was not as strong as it may be, but like that environment was created. And now, if you look at that, now I want to give you the recent one. And from that recent, you could look at it and how could it be that the massive registration, especially of voters towards CCM. And when you go to the one that Magufuli also ran against Luasa, remember the late Luasa was also a member of CCM, but during the time that they were looking for somebody to run for presidency, Luasa felt that he was rigged out, so he decided to join forces with CCM. This is the first time when Magufuli was running for the office, his first term with Madam Suluhu Hassan. And, this was a highly contested election, especially when you look at the history of Tanzania with the multi-party after Lowassa combining forces with Chadema members. He went to be the Chadema. Here, the race was between John Pombe Magufuli, the late John Magufuli, and Edward Liwasa. As we speak today, both of them are no longer with us, and that is CCM party and Chadema, where running mates were Madam Suluhu Hassan, who is currently the president-elect, and also we had Juma Duni Haji, that was the running mate for Lowassa. And the popular vote were 8,882,935 then. And we had Chadema, headed by Lowassa, got 6,072,848. The turnout was 58.46. And for the Chadema, it was 39.9. So it shows you the time that they had highly contested election, especially between the government, the Chama cha Mapinduzi and Chadema, was when the late President Magufuli was running against or were competing with the late Lowassa. So now when you come to 2025 right now, with all the challenges that they've had from the time when, especially the Chadema or people who were deemed to be criticizing the Chama cha Mapinduzi administration, were not given especially good or conducive environment to campaign. Remember Tindulisu, from April, he has been battling a court case of treason, and all that. You look at Mpana, who was disqualified on the basis of he did not follow the electoral rules or nomination rules. And you look at those who are, with all that, and the hunger that we saw during the protest, you find that around almost 32 million has voted. And that begs the question: how is it that when the environment is not conducive for the oppositions, the turnout tend to be high? When the environment is kind of like a bit conducive, the turnout, and you could see that competitiveness. And this is where, like, now you look at it, you say that it could raise some questions. And even if you go to the member of parliament, when you look at region of Tanzania, there are those areas that are CCM. We've seen them. There are those areas that are usually opposition, that are voting for opposition. And right now, that almost around 90 something like 99% of elective seats, especially for parliamentary, has gone to CCM. So this is something that will be studied, and you will ask yourself what next, especially for Tanzania with what has happened. And we've always looked at Tanzania as a unity and a calm city, a calm country, and now we are seeing the protests and all that has happened. So it is something that I don't know how, even when you come to the unity, when you want to unify, especially like, if you know that generally after the election, we usually have a divided nation, and it usually happens everywhere. So it's usually the responsibility of the person elect to make sure that he brings country together. But how will you do this with all these electoral injustices that we've seen, Makobura?
Okay, thank you. Whatever is happening in Tanzania is even tough to talk about. I mean, to speak on,
Mm,
because the general election, of course, they were electing the president, the parliamentary, and the local seats.
mm,
And apparently, from the results we are having, it seems CCM has taken 98%.
yeah.
And the main candidate, Samia Suluhu Hassan,
Mm,
uh, and maybe one or two. But the major opposition parties, remember the Chadema Tindulisu has been coming out, it's been known, you know, boycotted the election. We also have the ACT was a Lendo candidate, he was reportedly disqualified.
mm,
But now the presidential outcome, where we are seeing that, just like you did mention, that Samia Suluhu Hassan won with 97.66 of the vote.
mm,
And the breakdown that you've given, that if the environment was safe, if the environment had what we call peace and tranquility and all those,
mm,
they were not, I mean, the voter turnout would not be as much as what we are seeing.
yeah.
What then? What then happened? That in a situation where now there was chaos and people were on the street in the major towns like the Dar es Salaam, in the major towns like Arusha and all those,
Mm,
I cannot understand how the people
yeah.
then decided to turn out
Yeah.
to almost 98% of the total voter turnout. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense.
It
And
doesn't
then,
beat the
yeah,
logic.
and I'm wondering how she's going as the president. She'll seek or demand for that legitimacy or even want to be seen as an elected president as she moves around.
Makobura, one thing that, especially when you're talking about to demand legitimacy, something that we Kenyans have to be proud of is about our constitution. Because remember, the constitution of Tanzania does not guarantee anybody to challenge the results or to challenge immediately you are declared the winner. You don't have to go to
Yeah,
any court. When you compare it to our country, the country usually gives, is it like 14 days for if you can file for petition, if you feel like the result that have been given by electoral and boundary commission is not true. Is it 14 or 7? I think it's 14. It's
it's
7 days.
14
I know it's 7 days for filing application, then 14 days
for the hearing.
for the hearing. You know,
Yeah.
and this is something that is not in the constitution of Tanzania. It means nobody is going to challenge Madam Suluhu Hassan on her victory.
Yeah, I know that, and if you want to know part of the reason why there was some leaders like Chadema and the ACT was a lender were locked out is because they've been advocating for change
Yeah.
of the constitution of Tanzania, because it is one that really it inafenya wananchi chini
Mm,
ya maji. So it is part of the reason, and that is why the CCM has never wanted the constitution to be changed, because they feel that
mm,
constitution, when they give power, or the people comes gets to a point where they understand their rights,
Mhm.
then they will not find it easy governing the country. So, of course, from what we have again, CCM secured an overwhelming majority with the
Mhm.
position representation nearly wiped out. And
Mhm.
that brings, of course, this question: how are they even going to run the parliament?
And Makobura, that's a very nice question because one thing that it is not about winning; it is about accountability and transparency. How then again are you going to be accounted? Because as much as you have the administration, the people that you're going to work for, you're not only to work people for CCM, if to say, after election, you have to bear in mind that you're working for all the Tanzanians, So that kind of like the people who would question on how even you use the accountability and transparency part of it. And that's why we call the democracy of the parliament. Now when you look at how the parliament of Tanzania will be constituted, with only two members of parliament from ACT Wazalendo, maybe they might also be very weak candidates. And remember, if they try to be very vocal, especially we saw what happened with those who tend to be very vocal in that area, what will happen? Then, what is now the essence? That's what I would want to know.
It's hard to speak about what is going to happen in Tanzania. And that is why I'm saying that I'm foreseeing a consistent fallout between the people and especially the opposition with the running government. And it's going to be a consistent fallout. It's going to be a consistent chaos because all those people who stood with other political parties and
Yeah.
either they were running for the parliamentary seat or the local government seat,
Mm-hmm.
and based on the fact that their supporters never went to vote, and now the government is coming with a narrative that there was a high turnout, and from that high turnout, they're giving results that, you know, out of the 100%
Yeah.
turnout, 98%
Mm-hmm.
decided to vote for the CCM.
Mm-hmm.
And the question of accountability, just like you've brought it up, is how are they going to run the country? How are they going to make laws that are going to govern this particular country at a
Yes.
point where majority of the people of Tanzania are on the other side? How are they, from what you are saying? And
Mm-hmm.
this is something that we've always seen in Tanzania. Remember the other day when they were having issues with the people of Kenya,
Yeah.
and majority of the people or members of parliament in the opposition
Yeah.
are the ones who are coming out and telling the people of, I mean, the members of parliament of CCM that whatever is happening in Kenya might then also come to our country. There is
Mm-hmm.
that probability, and they gave the reasons that when the people are speaking and they're not listened to, automatically they will come out to resist the bad governance. I
Governance.
remember I can't remember his name, but there was a clip that was going around
Yeah.
of a member of parliament telling them that this is going to come here. And finally, what we saw the other day is that the people of Tanzania have woken up, and based on the fact that the current situation or the political environment in Africa,
Mm-hmm.
the youth, the people that currently exist, this generation do not entertain a dictatorial kind of government. And that wave, remember, it started in Kenya, it went to Nigeria, it went to the northern, it went to quite a number of countries. And remember, something else that has been happening is that the digital era that we are living, a
Mm-hmm.
demonstration happens in Kenya, it is broadcasted worldwide. Globally, it is a song that is known. And what makes it interesting is that you see the people on the street, they are fighting and they're not fearful, and they're saying that we are fighting for our nation. And then they tell you that this is how, for example, the United States of America became to be. This is how, the big or the first world countries came to be. They fought, they stood and fought to ensure that they eliminated, or they sent home all those dictatorial kind of leaders. And it is something that is being embraced. People are not afraid of death. I can
Yeah.
tell you this generation are not afraid of death so long as
Mhm.
their views, so long as there is an environment where they can, they can do their own things, so long as they're not suffering in whichever manner.
Mm.
It is not going to be easy
Yeah.
for the government of Tanzania to understand the views of the people of Kenya unless they even stop the political profiling that had already started happening in Tanzania,
Okay.
where if you are not from CCM, you
Yeah.
are told that you don't belong. That
Mm.
narrative had started.
Yeah.
And remember, based on that narrative, there was a consistent high number of presidential candidates and even high number of people in the opposition who are
Mm.
coming up and saying that it is not right, this is not the right way. Mama Lazima has to be called out. For the first time, you saw an aggressive opposition leaders in Tanzania coming out to point out the negativities and all those things that have hindered what we call peace and progression in the country.
Mm.
And, the controversy here is uh, the margin victory. Remember, the margin of the victory
Yeah.
and lack of opposition participation
Mhm.
is raising serious questions about
Mm.
the electoral legitimacy, because even this election reminds me of the Kamago, the Kenya. I don't know if you remember the Kamago story in Kenya.
Come on. Okay.
Yeah, it is an election that you cannot justify. The results are not justifiable, and
Makobura, I agree with you. To me, I feel that this is a very, very, very significant moment, especially for people of Tanzania. And this one will make them to start questioning themselves and start to find a way in which they can come up with their own constitutions. Their own constitution, I mean, especially like Kenya. Because, like, if you look at the constitution that they're using, they're still using the colonial constitution that did favor the people in power. Because, like, if you look at even the formation of CCM, especially like if you are in power, you find that its structures make it even not even easier. Because, let's say, for example, sometimes you would see uh, the mkuu wa mkoa. I don't know, we could call them mkuu wa mkoa. We could then call them um, the mkuu wa mkoa. How do we call them in Kiswahili? In English, the provincial administrators. They would go out and to listen or to get audience with the people so that they can get the challenges that people are facing over there. But, like, you will still find them talking about Chama cha Mapinduzi. And remember, you're serving now everybody. So that is this is a moment for them, and I think, like, now they will start to push for those reforms that the Tindulisu were talking about. And as I'd mentioned earlier, our brother Joseph is here. I will give him an opportunity. And the Chama cha Mapinduzi, actually, they've said that Chama cha Mapinduzi, the Chadema cha Demokrasia na Maendeleo, has disputed this just announced election result where President Suluhu Hassan was declared the winner, securing another term amid days of unrest across the country. In the statement on Saturday, the Chadema Secretary General John Munyika stated that the results by the Electoral Commission had no basis in reality. So, as we speak right now, and Chadema, if you listen to them, they are saying that they are not going to recognize the presidency of Madam Suluhu Hassan. So it tells you that the Tanzania are still a long way to go. And this one also, what will Suluhu Hassan do? Because remember, now she's the president elect. The very moment he will now be given the power to start, so which means he will start to use his authority, to stamp his authority for anybody who is going now to be a great criticizer of her administration. Hey, brother Joseph, how are you doing, my brother?
How are you, my brothers? Marco Bura and Brother Benson.
Hey, we are good. It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a minute. I had Kamago being mentioned. I came very fast. No, I fear Kamago.
Kamago is
Kamago
your
is a very
brother.
dangerous man.
Nice, nice to see you, Joseph. It's been a while. Sijui ulipotelea wapi, and I wanted to let you know that while you were away, we lost our comrade Baba Raila Amolo Odinga,
Yeah, I was here. I was here in
among
the show.
others.
I was here in the show. I think we were here with Brother Benson. I remember the day when we lost. I think we were here with you in that show,
Yeah,
and
I
also
think
we were with Mzalendo in the show. I think we
yeah,
were there. Yeah, the day we were with Barack here. I remember when we were talking about ODM. You remember?
yeah. Mm.
Yeah. So
So, so
it
my
was a
brother,
difficult time. It was a difficult time at that time. So my brother Obura has reminded me of Kamago. So I
mm,
came very fast. I wondered where is Kamago coming. Unajua nasikia Tanzania amwiti Kamago, anamuita Kamago Lili.
yeah. Well, sasa hiyo ni Kiswahili gani? So my brother, one thing that we are looking at, we're just looking at Tanzania, and we are asking ourselves what next after what we call it a disputed, Madam Suluhu Hassan being declared the winner, and disputed election where there's so many protests. And what really has surprised many is that when you look at the environment during this election, especially where the environment were not conducive, especially for the opposition leaders, the turnout was very high. The turnout is higher than compared when Magufuli was running against Tundu Lissu and Luasa. And if you look at especially when the late Luasa and the late President Magufuli were competing, um, the none of them even reached like around
20
uh,
million.
yeah,
20
20.
million.
Yeah, because the total vote, if you look at total vote, especially like for Magufuli and Luasa, it was around between 17. It was less than 20 million. But remember that when they were competing, the environment, we would say, was favorable, at least a little bit favorable for them. And the turnout was like that. But now, this one, the environment was not favorable, especially for the opposition. And now the turnout is even more higher than what was not expected. And we had a protest again. So, what is your thought, or what do you think about what the turnout and the results of uh, Madam Suluhu?
We all know what happened, and it's called Chama cha Mama. Si Chama cha Mapinduzi, Chama cha Mama saizi. So
Mm,
we all know what happened in that election. I was
yeah.
following it throughout the day, and there was no that
Mm,
amount of people that she's talking about, that the Electoral Commission is talking about. It was
yeah.
a low turnout in
Mhm,
Tanzania. Then I've never had a person who is an election where 32 million people have been registered, and you're finding 31 million people voting.
mhm.
Almost 100% of the voting is being done. So it means maybe there was no even cleanup of the register or something.
Yeah.
So it's very shocking. But the problem is there is nothing we can do, and there is nothing Tanzanian people can do,
Yeah.
because now it has reached Tanzania. They're using the old constitution.
Yeah.
The old constitution says that they cannot go to a court to challenge the
Appeal.
presidential election. So
Yes.
what will happen is this demonstration, when they continue, she is going to call on Tundu Lissu to come, and they be able to talk, and they be able to have a grand coalition government. And
Mhm,
now the problem is, when they have a grand coalition government, I think Tundu Lissu is going to force for a constitution review, and they be able to have a new constitution, so that when
mhm,
they get the new constitution, now the next election, which will happen after the 5 years, now that one will be the game changer. But as of now, there is nothing they can do, because
mhm.
Tanzania constitution says that there is no challenging of the presidential election. But the problem, the protests are going to continue, and when they continue like this, unajua nani kesi yake iliisha ya Tundu Lissu.
Yeah,
So
you won.
he decided to stay in jail, so that asiambiwe ni yeye anavuruga amani. And I think that one was also a very good move for him.
Yeah.
So what will happen is I heard the some people were talking to the both of them and telling them that they can form a grand coalition. I think
Uh,
Tundu Lissu had refused. So I think
Actually,
Samia is good.
there was a report that Tundulisu made a call to the President William Ruto and Museveni to the to during this time of
Now
election.
another issue, Brother Benson.
Hmm.
Another issue even is not about Tanzania. Another issue is about what the foreign countries are thinking about that election. You know,
Hmm.
many of the foreign countries have said that that election was a sham.
Yeah.
So, how will be the presidency of Suluhu in this term? You know, this is the first time she's been elected. So, how
Yes.
will it be? How will the presidency be? Because it will be mad with so much problems. Eh? I
Hmm.
think even as she's trying to force her way into the presidency, it is
Hmm.
going to have repercussions on her side because people will not have that support in her. You see, the support that they had before, they
Yeah.
will not be having that support on her. So it will be a very hard time for her and a hard task for her. And I think as she continues, the problem now is, you know, that election is very funny.
Yeah.
That almost all members of parliament are from CCM. Have you ever had an election that is like that? I've never had an election where
Out of 272 constituencies, 270 has been won by
imagine you have
CCM,
only two opposition leaders in parliament.
and they are
So
coming.
I've never
They are,
had that.
yeah, so that is something. And before I engage you, let me say, Asili TV, Bibi na studio. Hey, Asili TV, how are you doing? I hope you're doing fine. We are just discussing about Tanzania and what has happened, the turnout, the voters, so many things that are is not adding up, especially in Tanzania. But that is their country. What? Let me come to you, Makobura. What does this one? What effect does what has happened in Tanzania have in the neighboring countries? That, to be precise, we have Uganda going to the election in February, and we have Kenya also coming along the way in 2027. How does it impact the forthcoming election? Then Joseph also will come in and weigh his thoughts.
Okay. Thank you so much. Uh, in Kenya, I think we are safe
Mm.
because we have a constitution that has to be respected. And if you don't respect that constitution,
Yeah.
the people of Kenya are there to remind you to follow it.
Mm.
So Kenya, we are not going to be politically, we are not going to be affected with
Yeah.
whatever is happening in Tanzania
No,
politically.
we will. It has to affect. You cannot say we cannot be politically affected.
Politically, my view is we have a constitution in the Republic of Kenya, and we cannot have a president or whoever who is going to come from nowhere and then they start dictating for the people of Kenya
Mhm.
that we are going for an election and then some opposition leader are in jail or are not given opportunity. I think we are past that as a country, and we cannot get to that point again. We are mature enough not to get to a point where we are having a presidential candidate and then is blocking people from other political party from vying, or
Yeah.
they might not have an conducive environment to do their campaigns.
Yeah.
But we have the courts, we have a constitution that whenever such kind of things happen, unless they are gagged, our judiciary is gagged, unless they are not uh, they've decided not to perform well as
Yeah.
per I mean, if they decide not to follow what the constitution say. But
Mm.
we've progressed and we have a progressive constitution, one that if followed to the latter. See what
Yeah.
our constitution is doing. The president comes up with bills and then he thinks that is the president, he can just continue going ahead. And then you know what happened next? The court brings him back and takes him back to the drawing board. So unless we
Mhm.
have we decide not to follow the constitution, unless the arms of the government are not actively engaged. So
Mm.
far, we are seeing in Kenya an engagement where the parliament and the executive are. We've always seen them in bed for some time,
mm,
But that again, of course, has slightly affected the running of the country and quite a lot in matters of respecting the constitution and the rights of the people.
mm.
But the judiciary has always been there to bring them back to line.
Okay.
So in Kenya, I can categorically say that the bad politics which we are seeing in Tanzania
Mhm.
cannot be brought to Kenya.
Okay.
And
Mm,
it's something that if suppose it's brought to Kenya, the people
mm,
of Kenya will deal with it at the right time, with no fear or anything. In Tanzania, I mean, in Uganda, it might happen because Uganda and Tanzania are similar. There's nothing different in matters of leadership and governance.
mm,
They operate in similar ways. They operate in I mean, remember they have old constitution and they're
yeah.
still focusing on using all those old constitution. So
Mm, mm.
remember, President Museveni is running for another term.
Yeah.
It is not something strange because the other day we saw what was happening in was it is it Morocco or Cameroon.
Yeah.
We are seeing a president who is 90 still continuing, and just because they've gotten hold of the leadership structure, similar thing is happening in Uganda. In
Yeah.
Uganda, see what they're doing to the opposition.
Mm,
Kiza Besigye Daktari
mm.
is been, you know, actually it started in Uganda. That is when the Tanzanian president saw it wise that, oh, kumbe this thing is possible. So their operations are similar. But allow me to talk about the regional stability and security. Of course, East African community,
Mhm.
um, there's East African community tensions,
Yeah.
where of course Tanzanians unrest threaten the cohesion of East African community, especially as it plays a key role in the regional trade and diplomacy.
Mm,
And then on the border security concern, neighboring countries, of course, like Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, may increase border patrols to prevent spillover of unrest or refugee flow.
yeah.
Where the other day, I think you saw what was happening at the border of Kenya, that is in Namanga. Some
Mm,
Kenyans had actually crossed to Tanzania to go and assist, according to what they were saying. And of course, that brought a lot of chaos. And apparently, around two Kenyans were shot dead and some of them were injured. They had to be taken back to the country, this other side.
yeah.
And not forgetting again what happened in that particular place is that some, there was some unrest at the border. So
Okay.
what we are also seeing is a diplomatic strain
Mhm.
where silent responses from the regional leaders, where we, for example, the President William Ruto Museveni may be seen as a tacit approval or strategic distancing.
Mm,
That is also possible. But of course, we will also see the economic ripples
yeah.
effects,
Mhm.
where the trade disruption between Tanzania, Tanzania is a key transit hub for landlocked countries like Burundi, Rwanda. Kenya used to be, but there were some diplomatic issues that made them to shift to Tanzania. But
Okay.
still,
Mhm.
that is going to affect the trade disruption. Investor confidence drop, of course, the political the instability discourages foreign direct investment, not just in Tanzania, but across the East African community. Tourism impact, remember, Tanzanian tourist sector, especially in Zanzibar and, of course, the Serengeti,
Yeah.
may suffer due to safety concerns and travel advisories. Remember what the US had brought forth, reminding its citizens of their safety. And then we are going to also have what we call international reputation. Democracy watchdog alerts. The global organizations like Amnesty International, they are currently camping in Tanzania. Human rights watchdogs, they are camping in Tanzania,
Yeah.
and they have all condemned the crackdown, of course, affecting Tanzania's global standing. If you
Mhm.
remember how Magufuli used to operate, I don't know whether Mama Samia Suluhu will get back to that, where Magufuli never really traveled to the international countries. I mean, to these other countries because of his political stand and how he wanted to run the country. What we are also going to see is the UN and, of course, the AU pressure. The African Union and United Nations may push for investigations or mediation, uh, though action is often slow. But I'm surprised I saw the AU chair had congratulated the president for her win. So I
Wh-
don't know
What,
whether to
what were
say
you
how
what were you
compromised.
what were you expecting?
What?
What did you
Okay.
expect?
My expectation is based on the fact that this is an election that has been on the limelight,
Mhm.
and based on the fact that what we've been seeing to being done to the opposition leaders, some of them being blocked, some of them being tried. Well, we understand that we are not supposed to meddle, but
Mhm.
that alone has to give you reasons. And remember again what was happening during the election time, the demonstration. The best thing the AU would have done would to be silently first get to understand what is happening, and again with the electoral results which was given, all these things are not. We are not. We are not. This is not rocket science. We are human beings. Let us analyze things and give genuine understanding or verification if that is needed.
Okay.
And then some, yeah, I think that is my take, and it all depends on how people look at it. That is my take.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Joseph. When you look at what has happened in Tanzania, and especially looking at the young men, young, and we call it the younger generation that are agitating for what they want. What can Kenya, Kenya and Uganda learn from what has happened in Tanzania, whether positively or negatively?
Yes, I want to greet Good here. It's been a minute. I want
Yeah.
to spoke at the greetings and say that I think she has brought a good point there about stability from the sub-Sahara and
Mhm.
what has been ailing, because that is in short what has been ailing these African countries, and
Yes.
it will continue. It will not finish now. Not only African countries. I think it is the third world countries, they have a problem with
Mhm.
leadership and corruption and all these spices they are fighting. So to answer your question about what we can learn from this one, I think we cannot learn as Kenyans. We cannot learn anything from Tanzania because we have been doing this one for a long time. We have been
Mhm.
fighting for the rights of for our rights and of our democracy. So the people I think who can learn something from Tanzania is Uganda. Uganda need to take a leap and learn something from them. I
Yeah.
heard their general, the son of this guy
Muhoz.
Museveni, he was threatening them that what happened in Tanzania if they try in Uganda. I think Ugandans need to break the shackle chains of what is ailing them as a country. They really know what is disturbing them as a country. We cannot come here and tell them what is actually disturbing them. So for Tanzania, I think they have started. This is their first one, and I think it is going to be there's going to be a replica until they are going to change that constitution, because that constitution is really not a good constitution. There is no constitution that you can say that you cannot challenge a presidential win. That is a very wrong move. I think it's a very bad constitution. If I would have such a constitution and live in such a country that having such a constitution, I could be in too much problems all the time, because how can you say that a presidential election is just won by, and it means that even you can steal or do anything and nothing will be done of you. So it's too much problem. So for I think you're muted. For the spillover is happening. You have seen how it has been spilling over.
Mhm.
I think also Tanzanians, they were grateful that Kenyans helped them. You know, these dictators, my brother, because we'll say as a dictator, you know, a person who switches off internet and switches off any communications and even threatens the media stations not to broadcast.
That
This
is
one is tended to be a
interfering with
dictator.
freedom of expression, because that's the only way people can express their freedom.
Now,
Why do you silence the voice?
this one tends you to be a dictator. There's nothing short of you becoming a dictator. I think the image that Samia had created to the world, I think she has gone down. She has gone low. So
Yeah.
I don't think the world will ever take her in another such image, because everybody in the world knows her as a dictator. If you hear about Tanzania and you talk about Samia and the things that are trending, you
Hmm.
could clearly see the people calling her a dictator, because and it's not good, because she's a woman and the first Tanzanian president to become a woman. She's making even we fear leadership of women. I'm even afraid of women leadership as presidents. I'm so much
Yeah.
afraid, because if we can see the kind of a religious leader we have in Tanzania, and she's a woman to add to top it up, and you can see the things that she's doing, you get jitters on your every body part, you know. Also,
Yeah.
as if Raila could have won by bahati mbaya baba aende, unajua hata si tungeachwa na mama, na sijui kama mama na yeye angetufanya
Munge-
aje. Unajua hii mambo
munge-
ni
Mungebaki yatima.
hata si tungeonyeshwa moto bwana, tungeonyeshwa moto saa hizi, sijui tungekuwa tunalilia wapi. Marco Bura angekuwa hapa na smile smile. Unajua, naona Marco Bura na smile hapa, angekuwa saa hizi sijui tungekuwa kama tunaingia mpaka hizi media tunaongea. So I think Tanzania is
Mm.
coming is coming there inakuja, and they
Mm.
are going to fight for their democracy. The thing I saw, those young people, they know what they are fighting for. If you heard the demands that they were telling for Samia, the
Mm.
first one, they were saying that they need the election to be nullified. The second one, they need a new constitution. And the third one, they need that opposition leaders should be released from jail.
Jail, yes.
So I think Tanzania needs an overhaul. You know, Tanzania, the thing that is making it not to break through, it
Yeah.
is having this kind of constitutions that make you at mwezi ongea. You are like you are shielded from some. I think they raised their voice well, and I think Gen Z are doing such a great thing.
Mm.
In
And
Cameroon, you can see what is
brother
happening in Cameroon.
Joseph, I don't know
Yes.
whether you also understand that in Tanzania, as a journalist, if you're a Kenyan journalist and maybe you want to do something there, you cannot do it. Even the journalists of that particular country are not supposed to broadcast or say anything that is going outside the country without the approval. And that is
I,
something so
I
so
think
tricky.
in Tanzania they are the time of Moi. You remember Moi and the Voice of was it called Voice of Kenya? The VOK.
VOK.
I think they are in that situation now, and the one and the one TV station.
Mm.
It's such a shame that Tanzania Broadcasting Corporation can switch off, but when they are going to announce the election, they switch back on. It was such a great night. I think Kenya, where we have reached, I don't think any African countries has the freedom we have. I tell me which African country you think has the freedom we
Mm.
have. We have
Mm.
freedom that even when we are demonstrating, the media stations are threatened to be closed down, and they don't even jitter. They say
Mm.
that and they even report to the citizens that we are going to continue to. I think also there are some countries you cannot bring this nonsense that Samia is bringing. I think Kenya is not one of them, where we
Mm.
have reached. But
And that,
nadhani mwalimu akifunza watoto wanataka kuiva sana bwana kuliko mwalimu. I
Mwalimu.
think walikuwa wanataka kuiva
I
bwana.
think next time we need to come up with some good strategies so that when the students are waking up, they will then come up with, perform better than their teachers.
Something that
Lakini Mark, kama mama sasa ni yeye angekuwa Kenya, sijui ungekuwa wapi bwana. Tungekuwa tumejificha chini ya kitanda bwana.
Hapana bwana, hatungekuwa tumejificha, tunajitoa tu hivi waziwazi. Mundu kwa mundu.
Unajua, there's something that Marco Buddha talked about the AU that congratulated, and that one still begs the question that what role do they play? What role does this body play in Africa? Because when you look at how this one started, especially during the reign of Samia Suluhu, especially when she came into power. Maybe if I can bring it from there, she started by having this reconciliatory kind of like politics, and making the views of the opposition, like building a nation, whereby you can build your nation whether you're in opposition or in government. Remember, she reached out to Tundu Lissu. By then, Tundu Lissu was outside the country. After that incident whereby he was shot and survived the bullets, shots of the bullet. Then he reached out to, by then was the chairman of the Chadema then, because Tundu Lissu was not around, Freeman Mbowe, and he reached to ACT Wazalendo, he reached to Zito Kabwe, all this, he reached out to them, and he gave the world the image that this is a new dawn, especially for Tanzania. Remember, even Magufuli also had some I could call it authoritarian structures that he put in place, and some of this she tried to undo them, and she gave the whole world a picture, especially as I said earlier, is a new dawn for Tanzania. But little did people know, then she started doing this. While she was doing this, the United Nations, especially African United Nations, AU, did they say anything when Tundu Lissu was going through all this, and now they are coming out to say that, okay, you
Brother,
won. Mm.
AU is a toothless body, and you can never trust a body that is saying that it's African, but its funds is coming from other forms of other countries who are on top of it. They are going
Mhm.
just to spread the agenda that the countries want. So
Mhm.
I want to ask you a question. They are saying about Tanzania elections. Have they talked even about Sudan? I think
So
Sudan
that,
should be now the top of their list in everything that they are doing, because there is
mhm.
a massacre happening in Sudan. But do you hear them talking? I think these bodies just should be disbanded. They are just taking taxpayers' people money by sending people there to be. I think this is such a useless body. I've never seen a useless body like AU. It does not help in anything. It does not solve anything. You have seen how many coups have happened in Africa, but have you seen anything that they have done to stop or to mediate these things? There is a war which was happening in South Sudan between the president and the vice president. Have you heard them talking? There is Cameroon chaos which are happening. There is Mali chaos which are happening. It's like everywhere. Have you seen them talking? I think even the people who are sitting in that one, they are just driving an agenda for themselves. And it's not helping anybody, because I don't trust a natural body like that, a neutral body like that one should even try to say that congratulations to a president who they know that the elections were contentious.
Yeah.
It should not involve themselves in such kind of things. They should have even keep quiet and let it span out as they happen. But them knowing that they are useless and then they start putting out statements, it's just even hurting to the ears, because there is no day that you're going to have an election that is going to be almost 98% people voting. I have never seen that the entirety of my life. But one thing I also wanted to note out is, one thing that has happened with Samia, I don't think if she has learned about leadership. Even when you want to steal elections, you
Yeah.
don't steal the elections the way she stole the elections. You try to open up for the opposition
Was
leaders to
we
come.
say that one was stealing, or that were like the results were manipulated?
Nasikia Samia alikuwa anapigana na Suluhu. Sasa nadhani Samia alishinda, Suluhu
Uh,
amebakia kwa mashida. Suluhu
I
sasa
And
ni
think
maybe something
anataka
to
kwenda
note is that Chadema party says doesn't recognize Samia Suluhu as president, reject Tanzania's NEC election results,
yeah.
urging the international community to do the same.
but now
They will not do this. It's interesting.
according to the Tanzania laws, according to the Tanzania law, they say that there is no going to court about that.
There's no going to
So
court. That's
there's,
the
there's
constitutional.
yeah, there is nothing else we can do there. The only thing that they can do now is they form a grand coalition, and it's Tululisu and the other opposition leaders. They try to pressure the lady
So
to come up with a new constitution.
let me ask you, because like let's say that we want to hypothetically, we are, this is hypothesis, you know, we say that okay, they are going for grand coalition. And if you're going for grand coalition, you don't have a member of parliament. How is it going to work, and how are you going to push for this? Remember the one for Raila and Kibaki, both of them. I know the side of Raila had more members of parliament as compared to the side of Kibaki, and that one made it people to battle out. But this is a situation whereby you do not even have a representative in parliament. How is that one going to work, and how are you going to
But
push for it?
the problem is, Brother Benson, you don't have members of parliament. But what do you have? You have the people.
Yeah,
The people are angry. They're angry with the government. So
yeah.
there will be no term. They will continue to be having turmoil. And the problem, the good thing is, when you need to have a constitution, you don't need the members of parliament. Why
Hmm.
do you need members of parliament? You need just a panel of people who are learned, who are going to go and formulate a constitution, and people are going to go at it at a referendum. So I don't see where members of parliament will also help her in making her laws whenever she wants to pass the laws when she wants. But I think members of parliament you can challenge, no? For members of parliament you can challenge. For the
So
president is the one you cannot challenge. So I think people are going to challenge the members of parliament seats because there is people who are challenging them in the elections. I think they are going to challenge also these members of parliament. So
just.
actually, what is happening here?
Mhm,
One thing that I need the two of you to notice:
mhm.
Tanzania might start now going to tribal lines as we are heading to. I'm telling you, they might start going to tribal lines
Okay.
because the problem is Samia is from Zanzibar.
Is, is it tribal, or it might go religious?
Maybe regional. Let's say regional because we
Mhm,
cannot say tribal. We say regional. It might
mhm,
start going regional because this lady is from Zanzibar and she's ruling people from Tanganyika, as we know it, because
mhm.
you already know the history. We have Tanganyika and we have Zanzibar. So they call it Bara nowadays. They call it Bara. So the people of Bara are asking, how will this lady come and rule us? And she's from Zanzibar, just tiny. I have seen the conversations happening, and it's very scary because it can have a ripple effect of the Tutsi versus the Hutu if
And
it goes
and
just that.
and and when you go to Zanzibar, where Mwinyi is already sworn in Zanzibar, and there's, even though the opposition in Zanzibar disputed his election, but there were no chaos in Zanzibar.
Yeah, because Zanzibar people are backing full the government. They are backing. It
Mhm,
is very confusing, brother. I don't know how you will explain this one. Ni kama ukuje useme sisi na Somalia tumeshikanishwa tukakuwa nchi moja.
mhm,
Then the Somali president becomes a president in the country. Then you have a person from Somalia who comes to Kenya to become the president. It's
mhm,
it's it's very confusing situation for them.
mhm.
I think maybe even in a near future we might see a split up of Zanzibar and Tanzania and Tanganyika, and
Okay.
you hear them going back to the countries they were called before, because as it stands, I think there is a big issue in Tanzania in the fabric. I think the fabric is breaking down. The fabric that President Mwalimu Julius Nyerere
Nyerere
and
had,
the two presidents that came after him, like Akina Jakaya Kikwete and the others, I think what they had come with, Mwinyi, was he called Mwinyi? I think how they were ruling, I think this one is breaking down Tanzania to
so
what it was.
there was, I think there was Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere, then there was Mwinyi, then there was Mukapa, then there was Jakaya, then the late Magufuli, then yeah. So
Yeah,
this
then
is,
Suluhu.
yes, then Sulu. And let me ask you, because so how many times will Sulu be running? Will she be running for another 10 years? Because remember, she just completed 2 years of Magufuli administration.
No, she'll continue. I think I don't know how their constitution is. If it is the same one as Kenya in terms of taking over, I
Mhm.
think she can go for another 2 terms because
So
she
if she
never
goes,
finished that term.
yeah, but remember, if she goes for 2 terms, which means she will be doing 12 years
Yeah, but
rather
you know
than
the first term is just because of an unavoidable circumstance that she became the president. I don't know how the Tanzania constitution works, because I think it is very different from ours. I don't know how it works. I think
okay
it's very
now.
different from ours.
Mm.
But I know hatakuwa na kazi rahisi hata hiyo second term kama atakuwa akiendea next election itakuwa
Itamsumbua.
ngumu sana kwake. Already the picture out there, she's a dictator. The picture
Okay.
out there, she's not a good leader. The picture out there, people are seeing her as a person who can burn the country for just her personal gain. So people are not trusting her anymore. I think even the status she was given within around the world,
Mhm.
I think imeisha. I think imeisha. And don't be afraid ukiona watu wakianza kuwekea Tanzania sanction. It might be even go worse than that.
Okay. Now, before we switch gears, because we need also to talk about the former president today, he declared his health status, and what does it one mean for the leadership and especially the country, and how should we look at things? So this is something that I picked from the tweets account from a Union of AU African Union. The chairperson of the, I quote, the chairperson of the African Union Commission, His Excellency Muhammad Ali Yusuf, takes note of the result of presidential election in Tanzania and congratulates His Excellency President Samia Suluhu Hassan for victory. That is what has happened. Now, the chairperson deeply regrets the loss of human life during the post-electoral process and extend his sincere condolences to the families of the victims. He underscores the imperative of upholding fundamental rights and freedoms, including the right of peaceful assembly and expression, and encourages the authority to safeguard these rights within the framework of the law. He also calls for citizens to exercise their rights in a peaceful and responsible manner. The chairperson recalls the principle of African Charter and democracy, elections and governance, in particular respect for the rule of law, human rights, fundamental freedoms, and political pluralism, which are the cornerstones of democracy and stability. Something that maybe before we switch the gears, I think like in Africa as a whole, the word democracy does not exist. Because what would you say democracy, and from the look of things you're calling for peaceful and all, and there's what I usually call that, how can we be proactive? And proactive is we prevent something before it happens. And what inform you to be proactive are the signs that you're seeing. Some of this, what is happening in Tanzania, or what has happened in African countries, especially when it comes to election, they're seeing all this, but there's nothing that can be done, because, like, let's say for Cameroon, you're almost like 92 and you still insist of running. People go to protest and say that no, this is not happening. But now you say that, and from tomorrow you will see all these head of states. They will be sending congratulatory messages to presidents.
It's very shocking to me that a person can be a president in 92 years, brother. And not only the president, we are general in that country is also 82 years. I don't know 82 years, how even will he be able to stand a guard of honor? These countries in Africa, they have really a problem, man. And I don't know, but we have some really good ones. Like
Mhm.
Zambia, there we had an election which the president was won, and he accepted the election. So
And why do you feel like you somebody that has a feeling that I have to win? What what makes you, even if the people do not want you?
I think it's about power. People in Africa, they are obsessed. Leaders in Africa, they are obsessed with power and money and
Mm,
and interests that comes with it. I think
mm.
that is what disturbs. If
The
when they are
benefit.
going to know, yeah, I think when they are going to know that the people matters the most,
Mm,
and that's why you hear we never. You see, brother Benson, all
mhm.
the good leaders that you have ever had in Africa who could have made good presidents, all of them were put down to the dust. Just go and look at Lumumba. Go and look at these leaders that were very good. All of them, some of them, most of them were put in the ground, and they could have made very good leaders in the future, but
Yeah.
they were killed because our system has never changed. I think we have a problem even
Mm.
with the African system. We need a reboot. I think ile mambo yetu ya kingship, brother Benson,
Mm.
ilitusumbua sana. Unajua sisi tulikuwa wale watu wa kings,
Yeah.
tunaruliwa na makings, hatuna mpaka wakati yetu ya kujiongelelea, tunaruliwa na kings, wana
But
dictate everything we do, everything we say,
Mhm.
everything they want us to do. So I think it still reflects, hata kama tuko na new constitution,
Yeah.
it still, and that's why you still hear people saying in Kenya kingship. Have you ever heard mimi ni kingpin?
Yeah.
These
Kingpin.
things still are happening,
Mm.
and it will not end. It will not end. Just go and look at the majority of the presidents in Africa. Do I give
Mm.
you an example? I make you laugh.
Yeah.
There is a president there in South Sudan. He's already of age, hata ninaona mpaka ako na shida ya kutembea. Go to another one there in Uganda. He's going now 80 something, 87 years. Go to Cameroon. Now he's 92. Go
Please,
to
maybe just to remind me, that this country where the the president, the son is the deputy. I don't know which country is that in Africa. Is it Central Africa? It's something like.
I think Goodyear will try to help
Well,
us with that one.
Good year. Can you please assist us here? There's a country where the father is the president and the son is the deputy. They feel like they're like I don't know, like Goodyear, please, sisters.
Yeah,
As Goodyear
I think
is
that is a problem because now I was trying to tell you those presidents, just go and look at all of them. Which young
mm,
presidents do you see?
yeah.
You see old men, tired men, and they're
Mm,
still fight. You know, I really feel pity for Africans because
mm,
where we have reached, where we
yeah.
have reached is such a burden. And I
Mm.
don't think even the way you are hearing Ruto saying that you are going to go to Singapore to become Singapore, it might take us forever, my brother.
You know,
Because this,
that is idea that sometimes I don't buy. You know the reason why sometimes I don't see, because like you have to look at what did people in Singapore, did all the framers or the people who had that vision, what did they do? They made some sacrifices. Corruption was a thing of the past. The corruption is something that we're not speaking about, and even the people, what happens is this, Marco, but I know you're going to come in immediately, we switch the gears. You know, you cannot go to Singapore alone. You, the person who's spearheading that Singapore agenda, and this idea of each and every time we giving ourselves like Singapore, and we should come with our own path, and that's how we are going to achieve it. They say like, we as a country, where do you want to be? Because like if you look at the path that Singapore followed and the step they took, it might be mountainous for us. So I think like it's just only us that we need to say that, okay, we are going to be, first of all, is that you who are spearheading the leader, you have to show by example. The people that you're leading to be also has to show by example, because it's a collective responsibility. It's not on a job for one person. It's not a I, it is a we.
yeah, and the one thing that Goody has said there, I want to agree with her. You cannot talk about age. Age does not confer that you can be you can be a leader at any age as long as you're capable. I
Mm,
want to echo her words,
yeah.
but in Africa it's difficult. But I've seen in countries like Singapore. Do you know what happened in Singapore? Was it Singapore or Malaysia? I think the two of them, maybe
Yeah.
one of them. Do
Mhm.
you know they elected a president, but the president became very corrupt? They went for the old president who was there, and they
Before.
brought him back to streamline the government and everything.
Mm,
So I think it's not only about age. It can also come about. It can also come about you loving for the country, your love
yeah.
for the country. I think most
Country,
of
yes.
these leaders, they don't love their countries. They are
Mm,
just that's why you hear they buy. How do you hear the presidents in Africa, instead of buying land and properties in Africa, you hear them buying properties where? You hear them buying properties abroad. You will
with,
not
with,
hear them buying.
with luxurious cars.
Yeah, and you find their kids are always driving luxurious Lamborghini, Ferrari in these countries, and they speak in bad language. and they are always they are being caught by police drinking and partying and molesting ladies. I think that is the issues that we have done. But
Mhm.
Africa, I think we still have a long way to go. But
Okay.
it's not very long because I think collectively as African countries, I think we are maybe 80 years of age. We have
Mm.
not reached 100 because if you try to look at the many countries that gain independence, most of them, the oldest maybe has 80 years, maybe now, or
Oh,
70, because
all
us,
right.
we have 60.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Joseph. And Goody is reminding us here is the country is Equatorial Guinea. The father is the president and the son is the vice president. I tell you, and they've been there forever. So let's switch gear a little bit and come to our country, especially today. The president was in a funeral, and he was giving tribute to his friend, and he declared about his health status, and it came by surprise to many. But this is something that at some point it was in the public domain, and I remember I think it's in 2011 or I don't know when the C then by the minister for health, that was Beth Mugo, when she was also diagnosed with breast cancer. She went to US and later came, and like at some point he was telling people and what kind of foods they should eat and all that, you know. So when you look at what president did today and his health, and like he's kind of like very active in politics, Mr. Makobura, what is your take on that?
Sorry, I didn't get the last.
The today president declared he declared health status of himself.
The former, the former president,
The
yeah.
former president, yes.
The former president Uhuru Kenyatta has been an active leader. And remember, after the general election of 2022, he slightly disappeared. And, the people of Kenya asked where he was. And then there were some rumors that came up that he was sick. And the government did not want to tell the people of Kenya. And then again, he went to the AU positions where he's been sent in different missions. And then at some point, there was a time it was said that he was in the hospital. And of course, I remember, if you remember the blogger, Maverick Aoko is the one who came up with this story. And it was a conversation that was in the entire country.
Yeah.
And then later on, there wasn't any clarification. But I think somebody at the status of the former president, is a public figure, and being that is the immediate president of the Republic of Kenya, the people of Kenya are supposed to be knowing how he's faring on. Similarly, remember, the life of Raila Amolo Odinga was one that the people of Kenya were really concerned about, and whenever he was out, they wanted a clarification on where he was. And now, the last time he went, the people said he was sick, and the family came out to clarify that he was not sick. And then after some days, the only news that came is that he had passed on, and that was a serious anger that the people of Kenya got. And I think based on that, these public figures, the position they've held, the support or the love they have within the country, they have it's good that their whereabouts are noted and notified or are told to the people, because they've been in public life, they've held positions of course which demand their life to be public. So I don't think it is good to be putting their lives private, because they had decided to come public, so they have to maintain being public. The former president, I mean, coming out of late, we've seen him as a very jovial. He has always maintained his jovial kind of character, where he's been seen in quite a number of places coming out. He has always come out happy. He has always come out to mourn, or whenever he appears nowadays, he's always making jokes, and of course, that is one of the reasons why people are so much attached to him, and that whenever he start giving a speech, he will always tell you a story, and more of the stories he nowadays give. And the story is, of course, whenever he goes to the barrio, he'll tell you that this kind of person was his friend, and he remembers the good time they had with them. And it's a good thing. Him coming out to clarify or to give that explanation of what he's going through is a bold way uh, of accepting some as what nature has brought forth, because it is not easy people coming out to give a clarification of what they're going through, and that of course shows how active he is. And this is not the first time. He has always been speaking in a manner that tells you that there's something that he's going through. Remember the other day when he was eulogizing Raila Amolo Odinga, he did say that he's not afraid that he will be going. And if you remember the words that he used, somebody would then question, then why would he speak in this manner? As much as we all know that we will be dying, uh, unless there's some red lights that you've seen, you can always get to a point where you find that energy to speak about the whatever might come.
Okay.
So I think it's just preparing, is accepting the situation. It is
All
not
right.
easy to deal with sickness or such kind of what we call yeah, diseases, but all in all, he has decided to make it public and to fight it. Remember what happened? Remember the former CEO of Safaricom, the late
Bob Collymore.
Bob Collymore, was also a good friend of Uhuru Kenyatta, and when he was going through that, he used to put everything to the public. And sometimes he would say that he was told that he's not going to go past these years. And whenever he went past those years, he'll always get to the television to encourage people and to tell them that it is possible, you can fight this. Yeah, so I think it's a good move that the former president is coming out to boldly, fight whatever he's going through
All right.
with a lot of courage.
Okay, Mr. Joseph, what is your thought? And some people feel that now president should take the initiative, especially to create awareness, especially to the public, and encouraging people so that those who might be in the same shoes would come out and maybe declare their status too. Do you think that one can be of good benefit to the population?
As I want to agree with what Brother Marco Bura has said, I just also want to say that we have different types of people. We
Mm,
have different kinds of presidents. We have the presidency of Moi Kibaki, and we had the presidency of Uhuru Kenyatta. I think these two individuals, they had their own way of taking off the limelight and playing it backstage, and you
yeah.
could not even know what was happening, because even Moi Kibaki, as he was coming to pass on, he was very sick, he was very ill, but you could never hear it in anywhere. I think these two people, they like to keep their privacy somewhere. So maybe as we are saying that he could have brought it to the limelight, maybe I think also the character of this individual, they don't like to share these things. Just like I think it was wise in his position to say it today, because he saw now maybe he's getting some recovery, and just decided, I need to tell the people what I was going through and tell them they can beat this one. But I think Uhuru and his diagnosis, I think they did not start now. I think they started a while back, because if you look at how Uhuru was disappearing, you could really tell, because there's some days he disappeared so much that even you could not see him talking or something. I think he was going through that, and I think also, this disease is also very hereditary. You have just talked about the cousin. I think she was my MP in Dagoretti. So I think some of it is also very hereditary and it goes through the family. I think it's so unfortunate, but we would like to pray for him, the mercies of God, that he's going to feel well, because he's the only former president we have. He's also the only look up hope we have, because if you look, Baba Raila has left.
Yeah.
So I think the only person who can be able to talk to people and they listen him keenly and they hear to his wise words, I think is only Uhuru who is left, because the other one who can be there is, probably who are the next ones who are there. It's
Yeah.
they're the ones who are in politics. So as we look further, the only person who we can call for advice is only one person remaining now. You could have called two. There was Raila and there was Uhuru.
Yeah.
So I think we need to put him in our prayers every time, as also we pray for ourselves. For them, for them, somehow they have some of the funds to be able to do these things. They can be
Yes.
able to afford this kind of treatments, but some
Treatment.
of us, we don't have money to do this kind of treatment. So I think this one should be made a menace to the country. This disease should be made a menace to the country, because it is eating. I think you just hear because the leaders. If you hear the people who are passing on because of this one in a daily
Yes.
basis, in terms of the people who you don't know, who are not popular, I think it's a major menace. But I think Uhuru tried to hide it for some while. He likes to hide, but because people like to look for him so much, unajua watu wanapenda kushinda wakiangalia stories za Uhuru. I think even when they heard his voice in Nyayo, people had missed his voice. You could clearly tell people are missing his voice and hearing what he could talk. But
Mm.
kitu naweza mwambia pia achane na uji kidogo na chai. Unajua uji na chai, sana sana uji na chai inaleta shida inaleta shida kidogo. But for his health, I'm praying for him that he's going to feel well.
Yeah.
God is going to prolong his years in this world, so that he can be able to guide us. Brother, we are entering into a very dark season. You talked about Tanzania and it got shivers in me. We
Yeah.
also ask, it's not that we have been left off the hook, because we are
Mm.
going for a very highly contested election in 2027.
7
It will
year.
be a very highly contested, and it needs people of good brains and good people of good advice that
Yeah.
are going to help us so that the country does not sink. Because if we continue with that one, I don't think, at that time we had the likes of Akina Kofi Annan, who their
Mm.
heads were straight and they came and were able to talk to us and we listened. Saizi
Mm.
hao wazee wote unaona wako wapi sasa? Unaona hao wazee wote walikuwa wanakuja kutuongelesha, wengi wao uwaoni.
Hawako.
So I think we need to pray for him, as we pray for everyone who is battling this kind of diseases. It's not good diseases. I think it's a problem. It's a menace. I think the world also every time must have a menace. You remember we had HIV and AIDS. That time we were crying HIV and AIDS. Oh, hii ni noma sana, hii inaua watu. I think now it was limited. Now we are talking about this one. So for the
Mhm.
politics side, I would also love him not to engage so much with politics. I lay down kidogo, but he cannot, because he's still a politician.
Yeah.
He's going to still in politics. But I think everybody's putting him in their prayers, because he did what he did for the country, either good or bad. You might like him, you might hate him, but he did his best for the country. And the best thing that we can appreciate him for is he handed over the power. He did not cling into power. He handed over the power to, even
Yeah.
if he said he was not his favorite presidential candidate, he
Mhm.
handed over the power generously. That is one thing that we can attribute to him as his predecessor did. That is the only thing we can give it up to him. Even if you don't feel he did something to the country as you would like, you have something to say about that. So we are praying for him.
Okay, thank you so much, Joseph. And you know something about President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. You know, I think is one of those people who there's something special that God has given them that you cannot take away from them, and is how he knows how to read the moods of the crowd, and you know what to say and when, and how he connects, and whereby every time he leaves people with people wants to listen to him more, especially on even how he creates the jokes. You know, even today when he was talking about, you know, about what he was going through, you know, he had to speak about, or he had to talk about
You
the
know,
joke.
Brother Benson, what we have lacked within a while, within the 2 years you have been here, or 3 years, we have lacked a president who can be able to give us a guidance. You know, being a president is not all about ruling a country. Being a president is you being a father of the country. That you can be able to talk to your kids. It's like the same way you talk to your kids at home, Brother Benson. Si kila wakati ati unachukua kiboko unapiga. There is sometimes utaona amefanya makosa, si lazima ati utaenda umekimbilia kiboko. Sometimes you sit to your child, you talk to them, you give them motivation. I think that is what we are, the spark, that is the spark we are missing between the president we have and the one who is former. Because if you look at also Uhuru is celebrated worldwide, brother, not only in Kenya. I saw in the mazishi ya Magufuli, with the things that he did, you know, even people are celebrating him there. I think he's celebrated all over, even Uganda, if you see how they celebrate him. I think he has the fatherly figure. Si presidential. Unajua naonaga watu wakisema ati anakaa kwa presidential. It's not about presidential. What people lack is the fatherly figure. We have lacked the fatherly figure that we had. You know, also Kibaki hakuwa na hiyo fatherly figure sana. Kibaki, you know, was a person who was Kibaki was a person who was ataki mambo mingi sana ya kunini na watu. Moi was somehow a fatherly figure, somehow even if we did not agree with him. Kenyatta tunaweza sema fatherly kidogo, but Uhuru has been a fatherly figure to the country. If you look, even the way he could address people, what was his first word when he was addressing people? You could hear him saying, "My fellow Kenyans," or "Ndugu zanguni," or the kind of phrases you could hear. And when he could end the speeches, he's still even ending the speeches the way he was ending them long time ago. Mungu bariki inchi na Mungu bariki wananchi. You feel that speech has some emotion in it, unaona? So that, I think that is the problem. That is the problem we are having between the current leadership and the leadership that has left. Uh,
Another thing, I think he has this natural gift. Then even on how he interacts with people, because you know this is somebody that I don't think will give you money to love him. You will just find yourself loving him. People call him Jaden, you know, all those, you know. And even when I saw him at one point in Mombasa when he was carrying this kid. There was a time he was walking. Then somebody told him, "You have to watch Selena during the COVID." You know, all like his social life is one person that knows how to socialize. And as I told you earlier, he reads the moods. And you know, to find somebody who can, there's what we call that breaking autonomy. You know, you know, when somebody was telling you a story and maybe during the story is so long, you know, and you want to break that boredom, he knows how to break that boredom and bringing all this mambo ya uji and all that. And when he says that, you know, people you know, relate so much to him. And you can even remember the day when he was attending this wedding and he was surprised with the cake. You saw how he was like his the surprise on his face and how he was acting, just to make
Then
he
also
was
another
being
thing,
with
Brother
this
Benson,
this guy.
he was a
Mm,
person, he was a president who let other people lead. You
yeah,
know, we have a president who does not allow even his cabinet secretary lead in their ministries. You hear him talking about, I know what is happening in your ministries, brother. You're a
mm,
president. You elected those people for a reason. You know
yeah,
one thing that people, missed in. I'm not saying he was all good because some people might have good things or bad things about him, but you could see sometimes he could leave the limelight mpaka watu waulize Jaden alienda wapi. You could hear them asking Jaden
eh,
alienda. He could leave the limelight and let these people work. He gave
mm,
them space. And let me tell you what happened. You know why we are seeing that we don't have cabinet secretaries? It's not that because those guys cannot be able to work. It's
mhm.
because they don't have room for working. You hear the president is the one who is going to launch these houses. He's the one who is showing you about the project, the project the government is doing. Those are not his works. He's supposed to be a person who is supposed to steer the country, not to steer the ministries. The ministries are supposed to be steered by the Kenyans who gave work. If you give them the work, you mean you have hope in them and you have the confidence in them. But if
Yeah,
you come and we have been treated to many shenanigans by this administration that tuna sign mpaka sijui documents za competency. You remember? They are
yep,
signing documents of competency ati vile watu watakuwa wakikosa kuperform, sijui tukichelewa meeting ati some other things that you have seen that and even you can laugh. So and that is the kind of leadership. Not
yep,
everything can go wrong not everything can go right in any presidency. People will
mm,
have a bad view and a good view. But
okay,
the thing that you should do as a president, you should touch people's life.
yeah,
Touch people's life. That is the most important thing. Stop even other things that umejengea barabara, umefanya nini. Touch the people's life. Touch their lives. They can feel you. Ndio unasikia watu wanasema, there is a question I'm always asked, Brother Benson,
mm,
and it's very hard for me to answer. I'm
yeah,
always asked, what if we had this administration when we had COVID? What would you think would be happening if we had this administration with people who don't care and they don't even talk to you in a nice way? What could we be doing?
I
Where
tell you.
could we be? I think pia Mungu anasikiaga huruma sana, anasema sitawatumia hii kitu mbaya
Mm,
wakati mnapitia mambo ngumu. So I think,
Magumu.
yeah.
Mm.
So
Okay.
these are comments. I see even good here saying, "I wish Uhuru was was able." But many people, I saw the comments. When he was. Do you know that? Do you know if you want to know somebody is well touching people's life, you just go to the YouTube and you check when he was talking his clip. How many people viewed? I went to watch that clip after he
Mm,
talked in Nyayo Stadium.
mhm,
That it had around 40,000 people. Just 10 minutes. And after, I don't know now it's how many. I had left it at 500,000. I think now it's almost a million and plus in some
mm,
media station. I don't want to name it. It
mm,
is. I think it is surpassing now 1 million because it's good the way you have said. People don't like to be given lectures. Usikuje unipatie lecture ya masaa mbili
mhm,
masaa. I was hearing to a guy called Njiru. I know you
yeah,
know Njiru, the
mhm,
one who was the press secretary for Moi
yeah,
and the presidency. He was talking about you can have a leader who is going to talk. And
mm,
when he talks, he was talking about Ouko. He was talking about Ouko and who else, and two other leaders that
yeah,
they could talk. And when you heard when they were talking, these guys, you could lose the points. You just needed to take a voice recorder and record what they are
yeah,
saying. Because if you went back to write what they saying, hata utapotea because the points they were giving. But kuna mwingine ataongea 5 hours hata hakuna kitu atasema. So the impact of Uhuru's speech, which was 13 minutes, it
mhm.
impacted the whole, service which was there.
Maybe before Marco Bura comes in, that's why I was telling you, breaking the monotony or breaking the boredom or bringing smiles to faces, at least at the point where by people are not supposed to smile. Because like, remember, look at the death of the Right Honorable Prime Minister Raila Odinga, and how the country was in the somber mood. Everybody was touched by his death. And when everybody went to Kasarani, everybody was heartbroken. But immediately he talked about uji and chai, and he told the people, "See you uji ingine." People broke into laughters, and is making you to break from that kind of like a mourning. Like I said, that okay, you can laugh. And even today, when he was giving the tribute to his friend, he talked about his friend during the COVID, when the friend was caught up with the alcohol, and how the friend would say, "Do you know who I am? Do you know who I know?" And when the friend called him, he would say that Sikuski, and he had to hang up the phone. And people had to laugh. So he's one person that he knows how to break that monotony where the boredom and everything. So as everybody is saying, we're just praying for him, and especially for God to continue keeping him for us, so that we would still to get to hear more from him. Makobura.
So I wanted to say something again about Uhuru, and I don't know whether you've seen. There's a trend in the country where after the death of Raila Amolo Odinga, we've seen quite a number of prominent leaders coming out or influencers coming out to give a direction on what they think about their future.
Mm,
You saw Akode coming out the other day,
mm,
holding a long session explaining, also telling that she's also not okay, going through some other things, and giving an ultimatum of what she expects during her burial. We saw BN also did the same. I'm forgetting the other. I'm forgetting the other person, and these are people who are coming out to to start to behave in a manner that they are trying to plan for what is ahead, and partly they are doing a revelation that they are not afraid of what is coming ahead. So I think there is some lesson that the people of Kenya learned from the death of Raila Amolo Odinga, because just like the narrative that had always been there about him being mortal, or people never really expected that he would die easily. And if maybe Joseph might not really know this, but if you are coming from the Luo land, I know if you were growing up, there are so many stories that you were told about Raila that at some point they wanted to arrest him and he turned into bees and he fled. And then
mm.
there's some point again that they
I'm an
wanted to
in-law.
arrest.
I know the stories. I'm an in-law. I know the stories. I know the
Yeah,
stories.
there sometimes he turned to flies, and then there sometimes he turned from I don't know what to some Lejo guy, and he passed people, and he would transform, and I don't know where those people came with those stories, but I think that simply clarifies how 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 tough Raila would have survived, or how serious it used to be during the times he was growing up. Because if these stories were told to us and we saw them as truth, because we were trying to analyze. Personally, I did my own analysis on how Raila survived the reign of Moi, how he survived the reign of Moi mostly, how he survived and maneuvered in the political limelight during the reigns of Moi, came again, and how he survived and how he has been loved. When I was still young, I think that is the time Raila. I think that was I started hearing of him during this 2002. from when I was still very young. I would be told that we used to have a picture of Raila,
Mm.
and it was written. It used to have some beards, and there's a way you'd see those beards and just his face, and we were still young, and we'd be asked who is this person, and you'd tell there's Israel. And then there's a certain cap that people used to have, that it was also written, I think Tosha or Tinga or something. I can't really remember
How
very
old
well.
were you that time?
I'll let you know.
Unaenda
So
kwa nini?
yeah, so I tried inquiring, and again, I was also being told he was president. So me, I grew up knowing Raila was the president until
Yeah.
2013. Until 2013, that is when my eyes started opening. Even in 2007, CG 2008, I knew Raila was the president. Until now, to 2013, when people are now going for this other election, and it was said that Uhuru had won together with William Samoei Ruto. But still, either way, I knew he was still a co-president. So I never really understood this thing until 2017 now, when my mind then started differentiating what leadership and what governance and all those things are operating. So if you see people coming out to openly talk about what they think about their life, if you see them coming out to kind of foresee their death, or to
Mhm.
start planning for what is going to happen ahead,
Yeah.
then it simply tells you that, in African culture, death is one thing that is sacred. Death is one thing that people do not really want to speak about. But we are seeing a generation or times when people are not afraid to speak about death. They're even planning on how their death should look like, something that has always been a taboo in African culture. So it is a way of encouraging people, because we understand the kind of illness that people currently are facing, as some serious illness, and the only thing is coming out to speak about certain things as a way of encouraging others, and as a way of telling them that this is one thing that we are going to go through at one particular point, and you're not supposed to fear. So long as you've lived your life, you've done your part,
Mhm.
anybody will go. And yeah, to me, currently, from what I've been seeing and the deaths that I've seen, I think death is a normal thing. It
Okay.
is something that should be feared. That
Okay.
is what I have to say.
All
And
right.
you had asked a question about. Um, I wanted to finish my comment on this issue of Uhuru. You had asked me a question. It was about, was it Gachagua what?
No, no, I did not ask a question about Gachagua. That one is for tomorrow. Tomorrow we are going to discuss about Gachagua, and we are seeing sharp division in ODM, whereby the group of Sifuna in coastal region today, they are speaking quite different language to what Wanga and Kindiki and the rest of broad-based government was speaking Kasipul Kabondo yesterday. So there's sharp divisions, and for how long? As much as they say that before the death of Baba spoke to everyone, and they're talking like ODM has to remain united, and we were left in government. There are those who still feel that we are not left in government, but like we wrote or we had an agreement that we are going to work until 2027. There was no roadmap after 2027. So those are the kind of conversation we will have tomorrow. And Joseph, I hope you'll be here. I'm still here tomorrow. Joseph, tell me, what is the best time for you tomorrow?
Anytime. What time you are coming tomorrow?
Tomorrow I want to do early between 6:30 to around 8.
You're still back at home?
No.
Oh, okay, okay. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, 6, I'll be there, no problem. I'll be there,
So we can
6:30.
we can we can have two sessions, because like I feel like there's a lot that we need to cover, especially what we are seeing in ODM. There's also the United Opposition, and you know, and also the by-election that is coming, especially in Mbere. We have Malawa, and we have the Kasipul
Yeah,
Kabondo.
we need to be in full swing now because we have a by-election. We need to
Yeah, we have
mobilize these
by-election, so
by-elections
we need to
because
be
they are
talking.
very tough now.
Yeah, they're very tough.
And and I want to answer Brother Marco Bura before we end and tell him that Raila could have not fit the shoes of being a president. He was bigger than becoming a president. I think him becoming in that seat of becoming the president, it was smaller for him. So you see, even when he left as a more than a president because I have not seen any president who has been given such kind of a send off. So that is what I would like to tell Marco Bura. Not a must to become a president in this life so that you can bring change. Not
You know,
everybody who have become presidents in this life so that they have brought change. So many people, even the people who have not become presidents, many of them are the
mhm.
ones who have brought change to this world than the ones we have. Even the likes of Akina Wangari Maathai, they brought big changes and they never became presidents or anything, but they brought changes that we can see and we can all be cheering them even after they have left us. The thing that you need to know is that you need to leave a mark in this world. You need to leave a mark in everything that you do. You just leave a mark so that when the people come they can speak about you and say Brother Benson alikuwa analeta show fulani ilikuwa inakuja kusaidia watu and we can see whatever you did to the society. So Brother Mark Obura ako bado na masaa kidogo, ako bado na masiku bwana ya kufanya ya kuliva Mark. Eh,
Wacha nikwambie something, Joseph. I think at Raila's death, I came to learn so many things because I was there in the street. I think Makobura was there when we were covering, and from there to Mamboleo, then to Bondo. I, it gave me this one reason that Raila was one person who, if he wanted to destroy Kenya, he would have.
yeah, very easily.
I'm convinced beyond reason he
And
would
it's
have.
not even one time. It had three times. He could have, if he wanted to destroy, he had three chances. He
Yeah.
had in 2007, he had
Mhm.
in 2017, and he had in 2022. If he wanted this one, he could tungegeuza hii serikali ya Ruto in 2024, I mean.
Mm.
Tungeigeuza ingekuwa hapa, kunge serikali ingekuwa inaitwa UDA.
And if you look at is sometimes when somebody dies and you reflect on some of the things that is the stand he has taken, and even how people have interacted with him both negatively and positively, you come to realize that um, especially somebody like Raila. Raila was, I would say that he was somebody that I don't know what kind of a person he was. I remember this is somebody that when you're looking at insults, especially in the political career, and the number of names that he was called, so many of them. But at the end of the day, he never sued anybody, and he never even went to court for somebody to say that. And sellout, Babafua, and all those names, but he was okay with them, and this is because he valued the stand that he took more than the insult that people were giving him, because he knew that the stand he took was the best at that moment. And even if you go to his by graveyard, because the car was there, it's very active, not only with the dignitaries but even the kids. Everybody is always there, and there's Makubura. Do you know Nyatiti? Yeah, there are these people who were there singing 24/7. They're singing Nyatiti. How do you
I
call?
know Nyatiti. I know
Yeah, you know
Nyatiti.
Nyatiti. Yeah, so they were like around seven, if not seven or five young men that were there by graveside, and these people were just there throughout the day. they don't tire. They're just singing Nyatiti, composing songs. Like Nyatiti, like you can compose songs as you go. Like they're not written lyrics that
Yeah.
you just come up with something and they come and they dance. And I say like, oh, this is um, this man was a different person. He was a different breed. Despite the fact that sometimes we could come and analyze, look at it politically, even though we would give our views, like he was not supposed to do this. But now, when you look at critically on even how the things unfold from time his death was announced to the time he's buried, even to right now, as people still keep on in dozens are going to Opoda just to pay last respect to him. And I think Raila's grave will be the around top 10, maybe top 5, or the most visited grave. That is what I think.
I think even it's top three because I
Top
think the
3.
one we can check the grave that is always and also the funerals that were performed, which were touching, is the I know of Kijana wa Malwa was
Yeah,
one, yeah, because that one was very touching, and I think also for for this guy is called who? Is also, and also for Jaramogi Oginga Odinga.
mm,
Oginga, that one was another one, and also Raila has come into that place.
yeah,
What also I had, why these guys they are celebrated. I was hearing a documentary about why Raila and Kibaki broke out. There was a breakout between Raila and Kibaki in 2002
yeah,
after the elections. After they went, there was a breakup. You know why the breakup happened? I was listening to that documentary. It's because Kijana wa Malwa died. Kijana wa Malwa knew to press the pressure points of these two guys, and
yeah.
he knew how to mediate between the two of them. So when
Mhm.
he left, there was nobody to mediate between the two of them. So I think that is why we got ourselves to the 2005 referendum. Then we went clear to the 2007 elections, were very poor effects were about people dying.
Yeah,
So I think Raila will be celebrated. Nobody will ever match his. I don't think even anybody can fit his shoes as of
you
now. I
know,
don't see anybody. I
uh,
don't see anybody who can fit his shoes. Anybody even who can even tie his shoelaces, because that guy was a statesman. If you have ever heard about statesmanship, he was a statesman, and he fought for the country the best he could, the best of his abilities. Not everybody who agreed with what he did, but because I told you, in this life, brother Benson, hakuna mtu atakubali na kile unafanya yote, hata
unafanya
kama hata wewe ukikufa, kuna mtu atakuwa akisema huyo jamaa alikuwa na maringo sana, huyo jamaa hakuwa mtu mzuri, hata kusaidia sijui nani, nilimwitisha usaidizi.
eh,
So this is things that happen in life. But as me, as my community, what we do, we never
mm,
talk bad about a person who has left, because it's not good. Hata mwizi kwetu akiuliwa hatuongeagi vibaya, tunaandikaga eulogy,
yeah,
tunaandika
umesema
tu alisaliwa,
aka-
akasoma,
eh,
akafanya akanini, akakufa. Hata tuandikage alikufa aje,
eh,
nasema alipatana na mauti yake, alafu anaandikwa tunamuombea. So I think we should also desist from tribal things.
yeah,
Everybody is mourning. Even me, I mourned Raila. He was a great leader. I supported him in 2022 elections, and he was my leader because as Uhuru said, baba alikuwa mmoja, and baba alikuwa wa watu wengi. So
kwa watu
I
wengi.
think that is the legacy he has left for Kenya. But I can see, as tomorrow we are coming to talk about that, I think ODM is not carrying his legacy well. I think they're
Mhm.
having a problem. I think we are going to talk about that tomorrow. But I
Okay,
don't think they are carrying his legacy the way he could have wanted to be carried. They are having too much wrangles, and I don't think that is what Raila could have liked.
all right, Mr. Joseph and Makobura, thank you so much for being with us as a panelist. And let me also take this opportunity also to thank Godia for being with us and assisting us in the comment section. And we really, really appreciate. and may God bless you all as we go to rest. Some of us will be going to work, some of us will be going to bed, or some of us will be staying. I can see Mwaura is online, so we can also go and join Mwaura on the other side. They're also having.
And you wish Gypsy Corner a good game, because I see they are battling it out.
Gypsy Corner is a Liverpool fan.
Yeah, good year. He's a Liverpool fan. He's a Liverpool fan, so they are battling it out. I see.
Like,
she has been crying too much.
One thing that I need to do, I need to start following up the Premier League, and we can come and discuss about football. Because like I think I can get interest and start to learn few things, and I can see our good friend Joari is here with us. Where have you been? We are just about to wind up, and you're joining us. Maybe just let us know how you're doing. And yes, Mo Salah just scored. That's
bado giza wataona bwana. Mpira ni dakika 90.
Okay. Mi nawashukuru, and thank you so much for your time, and everyone, and thank you so much for support you've been giving Brother Benson Media. I know we are headed in the right direction, and the good thing is that like sometimes if you're here, you don't know that so many people know you. There was a time, and I told even Marco Bura, one time I was walking in the street, and we had the director who we were working with. Then somebody took my photo and sent it to one of our viewers here that, oh, this is Brother Benson is in Kisumu with the director. So what happened, my friend? So when I was, so there were a good viewer who is a subscriber here, sent me back the photo, asking me, are you in Kisumu? I said, how do you know? Then I have your photo. So when that photo was sent, I was dressed the same how I was dressed. And I said, like, who gave you the photo? Said that somebody who watches you, and I know that person just sent me that you are he saw you in Kisumu. I say, okay.
You are reaching there. Na unafaa usimame kiti moja bwana, lakini usitusahau ukiingia kule bwana. Ukiingia kule ndani usitusahau bwana.
Mako bura ndio nataka kiti.
Tukue kwa mbafu. Tukue kwa mbafu.
Mako bura ndio nataka kiti.
Mako bura anasimama gani bwana? Unajua ni poa sana. Anasimama gavana Kisumu. Kisumu County.
But by the way, Kisumu, let me tell you something about Kisumu County is tough, Marco Bura. Because it's a county, it's a very tough. We have Tom Ojienda, we have Willis, it's called Willis, the deputy governor. We have Ken Obura. Then we have
Adoma
Ward. Then we have Dr. Oron, the MP for Kisumu Central.
And also the sister of Raila.
Of Raila. And we also, like, rumors also has it that Rosa Buyu too wants to run for governor. But remember, before Raila died, before the death of Raila was saying that Kisumu will be negotiated. And now it is Raila is not there. I tell you, people will fight.
Not even Kisumu. I've also seen even Homa Bay. Homa Bay will be a tough war, because I've seen these guys, like, he's coming there. He's called this PS Omolo. I've seen his
brother wanted.
He started to make some strides there, and I see he's doing some strides there which are going to be very. He has machinery. He has the money.
Yes, he has the money right now, and he has the government, the power.
Yeah, he has the money, and it will. I think it will be a race to watch. I think in 2027, the race in Nyanza, Luo Nyanza will be a race to watch, and even not even in Luo. It's actually happening everywhere, even Western. It will be up for grabs.
Migori too is going to be very competitive. We have Ochila Yako and Mark Nyamita. They're going head to head. You know, we don't know how it's going to end.
Hmm.
But
I'm-
my fear is I don't know how chaotic and violence it will be.
yeah, it might be very chaotic because nobody is there now to guide them. They are everybody for himself. And I want to
All
say to tell Goody ananiambia nisimame, mimi siwezi simama kiti yoyote mimi. Lakini
right.
niko na mtu, lakini niko na jirani yangu anasimama aitwa fanya mambo. Mimi siwezi
But,
simama kiti yoyote. Mimi kiti siwezi simama.
like I don't know how many times I've I've reached out to Fanyamamba. I don't know.
You want me to reach out for you? I can
Just
reach him out for you.
let him come, then we talk to him.
Yeah, I'll try to see if I reach out to him. He's my neighbor, not even a distant neighbor, ni neighbor wetu, fence at
okay,
home.
sawa.
So
All right.
I'll try.
All right, my brothers, thank you so much, and may God bless you. Let's meet tomorrow early enough so we can have conversation about what is taking place in ODM. May God bless you all, and Gypsy Corner too. May God bless you, Makobura. Thank you so much, and to our fellow Kenyans, thank you so much, and may God bless you. See you tomorrow, same place, same time. This is Brother Benson Media.